Chapter 132 of Chainsaw Man is way more insane than I thought it was going to be. Like, we find out that the Falling Devil actually affected the entire planet with her powers, not just the city that Denji and Asa were in, and we actually see Yoshida make a move in this chapter too. It definitely seems like Fujimoto is going back to his part 1 breakneck speed pacing ways that many readers came to know and love when they first started reading Chainsaw Man. Things have definitely been slower in part 2, but it seems like Fujimoto is definitely putting his foot on the gas now and not taking it off anytime soon. I for one thought that things were going to be slowing down, considering what happened at the end of chapter 131, where it was revealed that Fami was actually the one controlling the Falling Devil this entire time in order to starve Asa and Yoru into submission. This is when we find out that Fami's ability is to take control of anyone or anything that is starved. Now, whether this is like literally food starved, like not having enough to eat, or starved in other ways like mentally, emotionally, things like that, that's yet to be seen. But this is also when we find out Fami's big goals and motivations in the story, which is to actually stop the prophecy of Nostradamus in order to save humanity and save things like Chinese food and pizza. Nayuta was on board with saving Chinese food and pizza, but she was not on board in joining Fami in her, goals and motivations because she has school to attend to, and that's where the chapter ended, with her raising her hand in class comically to answer a question from the teacher. So I kind of thought we were going to be taking like 1 or 2 chapters of her at school, kind of like the life that she has outside of being with Denji, and we do get some of that, but it comes with a ton of craziness at the end. Like I said, this chapter starts off with Nayuta at school with her friends as she's eating lunch, and funnily enough, she demands some of her friends that she's sitting with to give her some of their desserts, and of course, her being the control devil, they easily oblige. Well, we actually see some of the students talking about the events from the day before, noting that there's a ton of kids from their class that are actually missing because many of them have moved away from Tokyo, and also many of them have gone missing or even died. Well, Nayuta's kind of just like playing this off as, oh really? Is that really happening? I didn't really notice, but obviously she knows exactly what's going on, but literally like right at that moment, not giving us any more time to digest what was just said, this like armed SWAT team swarms their lunchroom and points all of their guns at Nayuta. And unfortunately, we don't see what happens with Nayuta after this point, but we do actually end up finding out where she went and who really like carried out this order to what appears to be her arrest or whatever. But after this, we actually cut back to Asa, who ends up waking up at the hospital waiting room with a bunch of injured people there. As she's kind of coming to, this is when we see a news broadcast explaining all the damage that had just gone on, with the death toll exceeding 2,000 people. And what's actually really crazy is that apparently, according to the news broadcast, the damage that the Falling Devil caused wasn't exclusive to the town that Asa and Denji were in, where all the major events happened that we read in the manga. Her presence actually caused cave-ins and landslides and major blackouts all over the planet. So this is of course raising the Falling Devil stock quite a bit, seeing as how many people have been kind of debating exactly how strong the Falling Devil is, and even questioning whether or not she's really a primal fear, considering how, a horseman is the one that was able to control her. But I mean, this is Chainsaw Man, power scaling isn't really that important in the story, but this evidence definitely supports the fact that the Falling Devil is very, very, very much a problem. As all this commotion is going on inside of the hospital, Asa just kind of sits to herself and reflects on everything that just happened, and thinks to herself that Chainsaw Man saved her once again. And I'm definitely very excited to see where Asa's character goes from here, because in the whole Falling Devil arc, she came to appreciate life more. She came to realize that she does have a purpose for living and she deserves to be alive, because if somebody like Denji has a motivation to keep going and feels like they should be alive, then Asa definitely should be too. So I'm definitely, curious to see how her personality changes after, having this major realization and having these major events happen to her. And also, what's her relationship with Yoru gonna look like, because we do also gotta remember that she just completely went against what Yoru wanted, and Yoru's definitely not gonna be happy about that. So I'm definitely curious to see what conversations they have after all of this, but unfortunately we also don't get a conclusion to that in this chapter, because like I said at the top, things are moving at breakneck speed and you just gotta keep up and hope that you retain everything that's going on. Because we then cut to none other than Haruka talking to this crowd of people on this variety show about how the government and the devil hunters are no longer reliable in protecting the public and stopping major devils like the Falling Devil, and the person they should really be supporting and following is Chainsaw Man, because in his eyes he always saves people, always saves everybody, saved everybody from the Falling Devil, and never asked for payment in return. Like, he's a true hero in his eyes, and he's trying to make this crowd of people will see that. And we see why he's even on the variety show to begin with, because he's actually looking to recruit people to a new organization that he founded called the Chainsaw Man Society for World Peace. So I've definitely been waiting for Haruka to come back into the story eventually, because there's definitely a lot of mystery with him. Although he does seem very like shallow and one-dimensional, there's still a lot of like theories and intrigue around him because he's so close to Fami, and we actually see him talking to her in this chapter, but it's still been theorized that he might be the actual fake Chainsaw Man, even though, you know, he admitted that he wasn't earlier in the manga, or he has to have some other weird thing going on because there has been an emphasis on him in the past. So Fujimoto definitely has a plan for him, and I think we're starting to see that plan unfold here with the organization that he's created. Well, the audience and the host of the variety show don't take him seriously at all, and they're actually just kind of making jokes at his expense, and this really pisses him off, obviously. But we then cut to him talking to Fami at a diner about, you know, like why he even went on that show in the first place if he was just going to be going there to get laughed at pretty much. But Fami tells him to relax and that the ridicule was actually the point, and he's wondering why, but she just straight up tells him like, you don't need to think, don't worry about it. A very, you know, Makima-esque thing to say. Well, what's really weird about this whole sequence is that this hand comes out from like the shadows and touches Haruka on the shoulder, and we don't see anything past this hand touching him, so it's still a mystery exactly who's talking to him. But based on their dialogue, you can kind of get a good idea of who this actually is, because they say it's like Fami says, your job is to be the face, Fami is the brains, together you move the body, the Chainsaw Man Society, and with that body you're gonna walk towards a world without evil, aren't you? So this is kind of laying out the structure of this new organization that's being built. Haruka is kind of the face of it, the pretty face that kind of gets people's attention, gets them drawn in. Fami's the one, of course, controlling things behind the scenes, and the organization itself, the numbers that they're going to collect, is going to be their moving force to kind of push their agenda, whatever it ends up being. And I think we need to dial in when this, you know, unknown character specifically says, walk towards a world without evil, aren't you? And it definitely seems like Haruka's being kind of brainwashed in a way here, because he kind of just suddenly changes his tune and says, yes, I know, it's all for Chainsaw Man's sake. So this definitely gave me some heavy Justice Devil vibes, because it seems like it's playing on Haruka's idea of justice and what they see is right in the world. And as we've seen throughout part 2, it seems like the Justice Devil definitely takes advantage of this in whoever they make contracts with Yuko, you know, looking to stop bullying and given the ability to read minds in order to, you know, move towards that goal. The Justice Devil might possibly be giving Haruka the ability to turn into Chainsaw Man, or a copy of Chainsaw Man, because that is his ideal version of justice. And this might have actually been the fake Chainsaw Man that saved Asa and Denji when they made their quick trip to hell. Now, this could have definitely also been a completely separate character that's also part of this new organization that we're just getting introduced to. But I don't know, I definitely got the vibes that this is most certainly, to me at least, the Justice Devil working with Fami. Well, for the fourth and final time, we finally cut over to our boy Denji, who surprisingly is tied up in his underwear in this dirty room. So you immediately get the idea like, okay, he's just been taken hostage off panel and we don't know what's happened to him. Well, immediately we see that it's actually Yoshida the one that took him in, and it's also revealed that he also took in Nayuta, which explains why she was kind of like confronted at gunpoint by all those SWAT people. And Yoshida kind of plays it off, you know, telling Denji, I'm glad that I got you here safely. And Denji says, you call this protection, falling asleep in class only to wake up tied to some chair. So obviously Denji and Nayuta have been taken in against their will, but Yoshida kind of cuts him off and says that, you know, Asa's in the hospital, she should be fine. And Denji of course asks where Nayuta is and the dogs, and we get this super eerie panel of Yoshida, like his eyes aren't showing, and he's just saying, as of now, we're protecting them, same as you. And Denji struggles off of the chair and says, you just try and do this to them, I'll kill you dead. And after this he says probably one of the most freaking out of pocket things I've ever heard Denji say. Like, it gave me an out loud laugh, and like I literally said out loud in my room when I read this, like, did he really just freaking say that? Like, what the hell, Denji? What the hell's going on with your mind, man? I'm not gonna say what it is in this video. You can go ahead and read the chapter and see what he said yourself. But Yoshida just kind of assures Denji like they're gonna be fine, we're not gonna do anything to them. As long as you're under our protection, you'll be safe. And that's where the chapter ends. And you know, you just get so many questions running through your mind after all of the things that have happened in this chapter. Like, you don't really know where to even start, right? Nayuta and Denji get taken in by Yoshida in this mysterious organization that we still haven't seen revealed yet or seen the intentions of, and we now see this new Chainsaw Man organization started by Haruka and Fami that might be producing these fake Chainsaw Men. Like, there's a ton going on and a ton to discuss here. I think I have to make a separate video kind of diving into each one of these topics separately just because there's so much to unpack, but I definitely want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. What did you think about this huge plot driving chapter that comes in a short 15 pages? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what your theories are. I'm always very happy to read those. Have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.